out of the basket, he was sinfully handsome. Normally, when you're that handsome, it comes with an arrogant attitude, sort of God's gift to the world, but not Jimmy. He was incredibly athletic, so you got good looks and an athletic body. He was, people came to know this later, but his intelligence was off the chart. I mean, he got a full ride to Princeton, not for athletics, but for scholarship. Didn't take it because he got a better deal with Liz, and that one was a smart decision. But super smart, incredibly athletic, and sinfully handsome. Add to that the comic timing of a comedian, stand-up comedian, the fun of a guy who has no responsibilities in life other than to make everybody else happy. A man who's eloquent, a man who, if you faced him in court, you know the intimidation factor. All of that, and then you tie it in with a grandfather type and all of those things. God doesn't put all of those gifts in too many people all at once, because most of us, we would self-destruct before we did any good. Jimmy did not self-destruct. Jimmy blessed the world. Jimmy made the most of his life.
He loved me. I mean, I never left the house that he didn't tell me he loved me, and he was so happy I was part of his life. And he changed my life. He did everything he could to make life better for all of us. He worked so hard, and he just loved my mother so much. They were together from such a young age and stayed married all these years, and he stayed madly in love with her the whole time, which is a wonderful, wonderful example for your children.
This was Jimmy Parks. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. Love does not demand its own way and keeps no record of when it has been wronged. It is never glad about injustices but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, and is always hopeful and endures throughout every circumstance. Love will last forever, as my love for him will last forever, because he was wonderful. He was the most wonderful man you could ever know or be associated with. He gave so much, and we loved him dearly.
So many things. He had so many great qualities. I think if you took a scripture, another scripture from the Bible, it would be do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And Dad used to say that there was a word missing from the scripture. It was do unto others first as you would have them do unto you. And he went out of his way to do unto others. He didn't really care about them reciprocating. I mean, he didn't do it for praise or for thank yous, or he just did it because he felt it was the right thing to do. And he was a servant of the Lord, and anything he could ever do to help anyone. And his friends, his family knew all you needed to do was call his name, and man, he'd be there doing anything within his power to help you through whatever situation you were in. He wouldn't stop fighting. He'd be there to the end.
Like a good attitude about things, and like he always knew what to say. He tried really hard. He always wanted to win. That's what I really want to get from him. He would probably miss like anything to come to a game for any of us, like all of his grandchildren. He just loved to come to our games. He always tried to give you pointers or tell you how great you did, even if you didn't do so great, just to get your confidence up, you know.
He was just really special to me. And I don't think any other grandpa would do to come to every single volleyball game. I mean, he just had a way with words that could make people happy. And if they were feeling really down, he would make them so happy. He was just so great. So great.
You go to his house, the kids are there. There's just kindness and sweetness. And actually, you know, even though I met Jimmy when I was a baby attorney all the way up to now I'm an older attorney, always, Suzanne, you're so good. You're so amazing. You know, that is exactly what he does with everybody. And you'd go to the house and Brendan was itty bitty. Jimbo's kid was itty bitty back when I was over there all the time, and he just did the most amazing things. And I heard him talking to this child, telling him what an amazing person he could be. I think Jimmy truly is the quintessential of what we want people to be. And you don't really think that anybody can actually be that. There's always failings, or they always are not maybe telling the truth. Really, Jimmy was. He was that person. Loved him.
You know, this is a rare family. This is a family that took me in, because I have nothing but an abusive life all my life. That's what I grew up with, in an abusive family. I never knew who my father was. My mother never took care of us. I was a child born out of wedlock, and I really didn't have a family. And when Brother Jimmy started really getting in my life, he says, well, Tony, you're going to come over here for our house for Christmas and bring 3 or 4 of the kids with you. And he would buy them Christmas presents, and he would ask them exactly what they would want. And Liz and him would go out and buy those presents and present those presents to the kids. One year they asked for these great big bikes. They had the big wheels on them. I forget what they called them. But he went out and bought 4 bikes for 4 of our kids.
This is my advice to all the young lawyers. If you want to be a better lawyer, become a better human being first. And if you want to see God's greatest example, study Jimmy Park's life. That's all I can say. You can learn little crafts of the trade, techniques in courtroom, but the most fundamental rule, I would think, become a better human being like Jimmy Parks was.
We often refer to people as one in a million, one of a kind, but that really is exemplified in Jimmy Parks, because you're not going to find anyone who was as brilliant as Jimmy was intellectually, who was as brilliant as Jimmy was physically. He was a great fighter. He was a great football player. He loved soccer. I don't know how great a soccer player he was, but he loved it. But also, he was a great person. He loved his friends. He was a devoted father. He was an outstanding husband, outstanding grandfather. I mean, there's nothing about Jimmy that you could ask to be better, and there's really no one that I know who I can say that about. Jimmy is the ultimate man that anyone should aspire to be. One time,
one of these foreign soccer players, Jimmy started playing soccer with his son in a men's league, and he was like fouling Jimmy. He just kept doing it to Jimmy. He was a real good athlete from a foreign country, so Jimmy told him not to do it about 3 times, and so he did it again, and Jimmy just dropped him with a left hook. Jimmy had that ability. I mean, he had enough boxing where if someone jumped out of a car and jumped on Jimmy, but I mean, Jimmy knew how to punch. And yeah. So someone jumped out of a car and stormed on Jimmy, I mean, they'd be on the ground in 1 second. Jimmy's kid told me that, and put it on some article, Jimmy hated bullies. Yeah. And I said, yeah, that's true. And I took it, I agree that Jimmy hated bullies. I said, that's the reason, that's the one ingredient you have to be a good defense lawyer. I said, because he always hated bullies, and now looking back in school, all of us that hated bullies made good defense attorneys, and all the people that were bullies made good prosecutors.
I discovered pretty much immediately that Jimmy Parks was radio gold. And that's just because I worked in radio. I mean, you'd see him on TV. He was TV gold as well. And by that I mean a guest or an analyst who not only is incredibly knowledgeable, can speak on what topic you want to talk about. And for Jimmy, it wasn't just law. He could talk about politics. He could talk about pop culture. He could talk about sports. He could talk about rock and roll. You name it, Jimmy was a great guest. And what I loved, and I think so many people in the media loved, Jimmy was highly entertaining. He would not only deliver the goods as far as information and analysis, but he was funny, he was quick on his feet, he was engaging, the audience connected with him. So that's why I grabbed Jimmy to be on the radio with me as often as I possibly could.
I'm Taylor James Johnson. I am the producer of the Jack Riccardi Show at 550 KTSA Radio, and I met Jimmy through scheduling him for our Gang of Four segment, where we have 3 of the really high-profile people from San Antonio come and basically just talk politics with Jack Riccardi, and Jimmy was our favorite.
On our Gang of Four today, we have like the defense table here. It's like watching Law and Order. At the defense table, our co-counsel today on Gang of Four, we have Jimmy Parks and Nico LaHood. Jimmy, of course, a criminal defense attorney in San Antonio, and Nico LaHood, the candidate last year for Bexar County DA. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, Jack, take a quick look at this mic, and I want to know who's been talking to my wife.
I was going to say, Jimmy's having male performance issues with that microphone.
This is getting serious.
If it's any consolation, we had a woman using it last week and it did the same thing. It's not you.
Hey, you got it. There we go. There's always a solution. You know, how long have I been doing this?
I'm fine.
And I missed a turn on the way over here. I'm thinking
you got lost coming to the radio station
after all this time, and I thought,
I don't get lost till I'm here.
I remembered that saying, wisdom comes with age, and I started thinking maybe in my case, age has just kind of walked this path along.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there. I feel that way myself sometimes. Wisdom is running late. What's new with you, though? I understand you were just in Vegas.
Yeah, went out there with Jimbo's soccer team. I'm kind of the team mother. And I'm in charge of, taking
and he is
care
a mother,
of kids and everything. And
he's an ugly mother.
We had a fantastic time, man. These kids were awesome. They stunned some of the greatest teams in the nation. I mean, they're just a phenomenal team. But we had our little trip to the circus, and I'm ready to declare war on them. I'm going to talk to Obama and see if we
You got in some trouble over there. They accused you of stealing towels.
They accused us of. They gave us a towel.
And people should know by now, Jimmy has stolen all the towels he needs. He wouldn't be still stealing towels at this point.
They gave us the towels, and then came in and had an investigation.
By the way, the towels in hotels are not that great anymore. They're not really worth stealing.
Not at Circus.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that if you look at the towels at Circus, they have stolen them from Mandalay Bay.
Oh, well, there you go then. That's all right.
He's a rare personality that could provide a very smart outlook on things, but also a hint of humor at the same time. Which, as a producer, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I love, and so yeah, he provided politics and comedy at the same time.
You know, I'm very accustomed to, I'm very used to bragging about Jimmy, from the clients that came in the office to just people at the courthouse, so it's no different. I'll always have that. He always, and I think you've heard it consistently throughout the last couple of days, he always had this way of putting people up on a pedestal. Everybody he encouraged, he got them to feel like they were the most important person in the room. And I think he was embellishing one time. We tried a case in Corpus, and he kept he would tell the story repeatedly. And he said, Liz was commenting and bragging to somebody else about how well he did in his closing argument. And the one thing that stuck with him is he kept saying, but that was everything that Brent said in his closing argument. That wasn't me. And I think he was embellishing, but it always made me feel good. But that was Jimmy. I mean, he always, although the spotlight was always squarely on him, he always pointed it somewhere else. Those are one of the many memories I'll take away.
It's like Jimmy, it's even weird saying was, so I'll just say is. It's like Jimmy's a prophet in that he said some things to me when we were on the air that at the time I could feel myself getting a little uncomfortable when he was saying them, because he kept saying, Louise, he said, you've given so much to people, and now's your opportunity to receive, and then he said, and maybe you need to learn how to receive. And I remember being uncomfortable with what he said, probably because it was hard for me to receive, and he kept being so generous and so loving and so from this deep, soulful place, just so affirming of me and I guess what I was saying. And then I was blown away that he was saying, I have tears, as I'm sitting here and our mouths are dropped, listening to you. And he was saying, just the way you're living your life makes me want to live a better life. And I'm thinking, he already does live this incredible life. And it was just really astonishing. And the thing that I'm most struck by about him is his deep level of discernment, like a prophet. And I think when somebody says something to you and maybe they're ahead of you in terms of your own internal development, it's sort of like, oh, that didn't quite feel right. And I mean, I could feel his love, but I thought, oh, maybe he's just kind of overdoing that. But I mean, it lingered with me. It's like, yeah, not only do I need to learn how to be able to receive, but we all do. I mean, I think I might have even said this quote when we were talking on the air that Maya Angelou once said, when we give freely, which Jimmy always does and did, and receive graciously, everyone is blessed.
We were eating at a little Mexican restaurant, and Jimmy left a $20 tip for somebody. And I asked him, did he mean to leave that? He accidentally left $20 instead. Everybody already paid the bill. And he said, oh no, that's the tip. I said, why would you leave $20? And he said, it's real simple. I'm a very fortunate person, and not everybody has the same fortune that I do. And this is one of the ways that I can spread my fortune and share with people, because the waitress doesn't have what I have, and that $20 means a whole lot to her. And that's why he does it, and he does that a lot. And that was a few years back. And I always keep that in my mind because it's true.